Hello everyone, welcome to another podcast. My name's Ben Lister. Today's podcast is from the archives. It's with DJ Poison from 2019. It's of course Santino Roberts. Without further ado, here it is. My interview with DJ Poison aka Santino Roberts. Here we go. Hello and welcome to another podcast here at Matthew's Hub. We have all different podcasts, but today we have a very special guest. Please welcome Santino Roberts, aka DJ Poison. Hello Santino, welcome to the show.
Afternoon to you, Ben. I'm very happy to be here.
Let's begin, shall we? When did you start DJing and what were your early passions and influences?
Okay, well, I'll talk about my early passions and influences first. I grew up in a very musical family. My brother is a guitarist and my sister's a singer. So I grew up around a lot of different musicians, but I never picked up a musical instrument.
Wow.
So I guess I started to be a DJ when I like the idea of playing lots of different types of music.
Yes.
And so, I love music generally. Yes. So I started DJing in 1995. Wow. I would have been about 18, 19 at the time. So, yeah.
How did you originally learn to DJ?
Well, actually, I taught myself. A friend of mine started DJing. At the time, I'd never even thought about it, and I laughed at him. Then he stopped, and I kind of started. I bought myself a pair of turntables, and I taught myself to mix. And it took me about 6 months to become good enough to play out in clubs, etc.
Taking the time.
Yeah, but I actually started on pirate radio stations. Wow. So it was like diving in at the deep end a little bit. I had hundreds of listeners.
What were some of your main challenges when you were starting out as a DJ, and how have they changed over time?
I'd say one of the biggest challenges is as a jungle drum and bass DJ. Growing up in Hull was quite tough. Had I been DJing in other cities such as London, Birmingham, Leeds even, I think I would have... possibly Sheffield, I used to go out in Sheffield. I think I would have had a lot more exposure. I was offered residencies at certain clubs in the country, but I couldn't get to them because I didn't drive at the time. And some of my biggest disappointments... rather than challenges, we're having to turn things down. That I would have been DJing with some of the biggest DJs in the world at the time, so it was very frustrating.
How do you make use of technology?
Technology is absolutely central to what I do, both as a DJ and as a DJ tutor. Especially in the last few years, there was a time when I could turn up at any club and I would be confident that I could DJ on whatever setup they had in place. But now, even within the space of weeks, just when you're starting to master something, something new comes along. So now that I'm teaching other people to DJ, I've got to be right on top of everything. So I'm constantly reading, talking to people, learning from others, talking to other DJs, talking to other youth workers, teachers. And again, the other side of the technology is obviously the expense. When I first started DJing, I think my first belt drive turntables cost me £150 each.
Wow.
Mixer that I've just bought cost me £1,700. So, for people starting out now, it's quite a daunting, expensive thing. And if they get it wrong, that first purchase, it could affect them for years.
It's an investment.
Yeah, very much so. When I bought it, I'm thinking, this needs to last me 10 to 15 years, Yeah.
What was your first DJ setup like?
Well, there you go. Two belt drive turntables, £150 each.
Jesus.
I had a mixer, which compared to today's standards was laughable. You had to have one channel on full volume and the second channel three lower to get the same volume of sound.
What's your greatest achievement as a DJ?
I think I would talk about two different levels of achievement. My first, as a DJ, as a performer, I've played with a lot of my heroes. So I think my favourite was I played in Warsaw with DJ Mickey Finn. Something that I would have dreamed about as a kid, before I even thought of being a DJ. I've also played with DJ Marky, who I regard as the best DJ in the world. That's a thrill. But actually, maybe if you're talking about achievements, I've set up my own business where I teach people to DJ, and I get more reward from that,
that's
actually.
That's an achievement in your own
capacity.
Because
I try to teach people that don't normally get the opportunity. So I've worked with people who some people would say they could never DJ, and I've helped them to become DJs enough that they can perform to a crowd. So that I'm very proud of.
Yes. How do you get ready for the big performance?
Well, years ago, I used to spend a lot of time thinking about it and being quite nervous, quite conscious that I had to perform. But actually, the truth is that all we're doing is playing music. It's not something to get carried away about, you know.
And some people love it.
Well, people do love it. And the thing is, the world is full of problems, and life can throw far bigger problems at us than preparing for a musical performance. So actually, the key is to enjoy it.
What is the best part about being a DJ?
The best part?
Yeah.
Ha.
Yes.
It's not as glamorous actually as people think. You know, when you're young, you assume that the DJ lifestyle is brilliant and it couldn't be better. But actually, it's a very tiring, exhausting lifestyle. At times, I've had to take a break from it.
Yeah.
And sometimes I have to turn something down because I know that if I do it, it will lead to further problems. That, you know, so it's about balance, really. Actually, making
picking
sure
and choosing.
Sometimes, as I say, I like to stay in touch with people that I know and love. So again, if I was given a choice between playing to a few hundred people in my home city or 10,000 in Moscow, I'd probably choose my home city.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That's the end of the interview. Santino Roberts, pleasure as always.
Thank you, Ben.
And join me next time on the podcast. Good day to you all. That was my interview with DJ Santino Roberts from 2019. Hope you enjoyed it. One more upload tonight, I think. And it's a big one. It's my interview from the archives with Peter Levy, so stick around for that. Stay tuned. Thanks very much for watching. Don't forget to do the necessary like, subscribe and all that. And yeah, that's a wrap.